Hi there, folks. So recently I've been diving back into the Lord of the Rings, the living card game, or the Lord of the Rings, the card game. I did a couple of videos on this back when the channel was in its infancy, but I wanted to come back and just talk a little bit about what kind of stuff you get in the sort of new and updated version of the core box, which has now actually been properly designed for 4 players to dive into. One of the nice things, obviously, is that they've kind of revamped both of the rule books. So you've got the Learn to Play guide, which is absolutely fantastic, and then the rules reference there as well. One of the things that I really like in the rules reference is, let me just see if I can find it, this here at the back. So it actually gives you a breakdown of 2 starter decks that you can use to get going in the game. You have a Leadership and Spirit one, which is pretty good for a 1-player experience. And then you have the Lore and Tactics deck, which can be played as a 1-player experience, but is best when done as kind of like a 2-player one when you're diving in. This, I think, is really important and very much helps people out who are just getting started in the game, which is always nice. If you're just playing the standard 4-player setup right out of the box, basically they sort of have a breakdown of exactly what cards you need for each of the decks. It's pretty much all of the cards, really. And you just dive in and start playing that first scenario, which is Passage Through Mirkwood. But yeah, very good new rulebook that has been sort of revamped and changed to make it easy to read. So one of the core things that's been done in this set is they have introduced a whole bunch of extra stuff for the campaigns. So you've still got the same campaign, so you've got the Passage Through Mirkwood, and then followed on by like Journey Down the Anduin, and there we go. The Necromancer's Tower and Escape from Dol Guldur, so that hasn't changed at all. But the big thing that has come in is the addition of this campaign system. So I'm not going to show too many of the cards, but as you can see, there's one for each of them. So I'll avoid spoilers on that front. But each of these basically gives you a campaign to play through, which allows you to link your games together and gives you both boons and banes, I think they're called, in the game. Well, let me just check it on the other side. Yes, so burdens, there we go. Burdens and extra boons and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so some nice stuff there for those people diving in to try and play out story-based missions with this box set. The other thing that's really nice about this, I think, is that it kind of alleviates the difficulty spike that you got with the original core set. You get an additional character that helps alongside you. So you get Mendor. I mean, this isn't a spoiler because it's in the first game, but you get Mendor alongside you as an ally, which is really cool. And then you have all of these banes and boons and burdens and stuff that'll get added into the mix for each player as you play through. And they kind of make it so that once you get through to Journey Through to the Anduin, and also beyond that, into Dol Guldur, you're not going to be, well, the missions are still challenging, as this game has always been, but they've kind of toned it down a little bit to make sure that it's easy enough to dive into for new players. I think it's especially good for 1 player now, but also should work perfectly well for 4, thanks to the addition of so many extra cards. When it comes to the quests as well, obviously you can play them in different ways. So you have the sort of standard way of playing a quest, which is where you each get a resource at the beginning of the turn, and you include all of the cards in the campaign decks. If you want to play a campaign on an easy mode setting, then you take out all of these cards with the gold circle around them. So it's often 1 copy or 2 copies of some of the nastier treacheries and locations, and oftentimes one of the big enemies as well. They come out of the card pool for the quest deck, and yeah, you also then get an additional resource at the start of every turn and at the start of the game, which is very cool. Well, you get an additional resource. Well, you get a resource at the start of every turn, obviously, but then at the beginning of the game you get 2 resources for each hero, which is very good. And that sort of allows you to play more cards and react to things a little bit more, which is always nice. The other thing that makes this version of the campaign easier is that you get access to 3 of everything. So this is the deck that I've made, which is the leadership and spirit one. So this comes with Aragorn, Eowyn, and Theodred in it. And obviously, as you can see, it comes with a whole bunch of the original cards. Nothing has changed in that sense, but now you get multiples of things. So there are 3 copies of Steward of Gondor, so you're more likely to see it. 3 copies of Celebrian Stone, so you have more chance to see it. And basically the same for all of these cards, which means that when it comes to playing the game, you are diving in and getting a better experience as a whole, because everything has been tuned to match the idea that you have access to all of the cards available to you, and you're not trying to jerry-rig something, which was always the case with the previous game. So yeah. And it also means you can deal with a lot of treacheries and stuff very easily as well, which is always nice. So yes, rather than having to buy a whole bunch of different sets, you can just buy the one and get stuck in. This is obviously the same for all of the other characters as well. I'm just going to take a big chunk of these because there's quite a lot of cards there. So you obviously get all the same characters. So you've got Gloin, Gimli, Legolas, Thalin, Eleanor, Dunhere. Oop, boop. I was affected by strange earthquakes. Dunhere, Denethor, Glorfindel, and Berefor. And then, as I say, 3 copies of each of the cards for all of the decks, which means a sizable amount of cards for you to play with. Now, obviously this isn't going to be a set that is particularly useful for a returning player. I mean, I picked this up because I only had the core set, so and the Hobbit expansions. But I only had the core set and those, and I didn't really feel the need. Well, I didn't feel like I had a massive card pool, so picking this up seemed like a great idea for me to kind of replace it. And I could give my old core set to my friend so that they could break down the cards from that and use them in whatever they wanted to do. And kind of make up the difference because they only had one of the core sets from the original game. All of the additional cards, so these ones, are available to download for free from FFG. From Fantasy Flight Games, so you can just grab them and get stuck in and start playing out this stuff whilst using your original core sets and stuff, which I think is quite nice. So you are not going to miss out on any real additional content. I mean, the campaign stuff is great, but I think if you're a veteran who's been playing through all of the other campaigns, you've probably moved on to do something a little bit more fun, especially if you've got the Fellowship expansion and all that kind of thing as well. So in general, I think it's a pretty nice quality of life improvement for the game. Would I have liked to have seen a proper full-on new edition of the Lord of the Rings, the card game? Probably. But I think this does the job. They have clearly learned from their time spent with the game and kind of built together an interesting set of additional mechanics, learning from previous expansions. In order to make a core set that is very, very good for 1 to 4 players. And I would love to see it played out with 4 players at some point. I think it'd be really fun going through the campaign properly with a bunch of people to see whether or not it works for you. I should also point out a few additional things that have been added as part of like a quality of life improvement. So you get 4 of the dials now, and they're the small mini dials as well. So they're much easier to use on the tabletop. They're not going to take up too much of your table, which is always nice to see. And also putting these little plastic bits together was so much easier than I've had it in previous games. It all just came together very nicely. Oh, a nice snug fit. You also get alternatives for your tokens as well. So you get all of the basic small tokens from the previous game. So you get these wound tokens and stuff, which is always nice. But then you get 3s for each of them as well. There we go, there's a 3 for the resources. And then you also get 5s as well. So it means you're not going to run out. And also, I'm just going to show you this. You get a mass of them as well. So you're not going to run out. So there's enough tokens there for 4 players to play the game without having to substitute anything. And of course you get the first player marker. You also get this new insert in there as well, which I think is quite nice. You could when I put the core stuff back in here, it filled maybe, oh, I don't know, a third of the back of each side, really. Nothing massive. I mean, this is the greater addition to the card pool, and that wasn't too bad. And then all the quest stuff on the other side. So you should be able to fit basically an entire saga's worth of stuff in there, I would imagine, and use it as your box to collect everything for the next while, which is always nice to have. So would I recommend this? Yeah, I think I would. I think if you've been playing the game for a really long time, you probably don't want to have to pick up this, but I would suggest, printing off those and giving this a go. If you have never played the Lord of the Rings card game before and you want to give it a shot and you like a challenging solo cooperative experience, then I don't think there are many card games out there that are better. Obviously, Arkham Horror and Marvel Champions have done a very good job of dealing with this, dealing with a lot of the issues that Lord of the Rings had in nice ways. And they're very nice games, but I think there's something really cool about the puzzle that you have to solve in the Lord of the Rings, the card game, and sort of how you play your characters and the way they've weaved the story and all that kind of stuff as well. And the storytelling in this game is often great. I don't think I've found a misstep when it comes to the storytelling, even if the quests are bloody hard, because we're playing some of the Angmar cycle at the moment, and it is tough. Very tough indeed. Turning all these cards around and just doing some additional busy work as I'm filming, really. So yeah, I would definitely recommend picking it up if you're new to the game. From this point on, you'll definitely want to go and pick up the additional expansions and stuff. I believe there's one small encounter deck quest that you can go and snap up, which was a exclusive in one of the limited edition versions of the Lord of the Rings, back when it had its last revamping-ish type thing. But what's really cool is that they've actually put together the full Fellowship box as a saga. So if you're diving in to play more of the storyline and you want to follow more of like a campaign like you get in this, then I would recommend going to snap that up when it comes out, because it includes the Black Riders and the Road Darkens, I believe, are the two from the Fellowship of the Rings, which are in all, I think it's like 6 quests, I think, 3 spread over the 2, which are really seriously tough. You would have thought the first quest in the in the Saga expansion would be nice and easy, but no, you have to fight against Nazgul, and it is terrifying. But there we go. Yeah, so that's just me kind of revisiting the Lord of the Rings, the card game, giving you my thoughts on the revamped edition, the sort of reboxing of the core set. Definitely worth your time if you like Lord of the Rings and you want a satisfying solo or cooperative challenge. There's a reason this game has done so well over the years and has been turned into all sorts of other things, including there's even a first age expansion for this and all that kind of stuff that has been done by fans. I'm going to do another little small companion video to this one, and a little bit of a break from the miniature stuff at the moment, just to talk about this. So I also picked up one of the starter decks just to see what it was like, really. And this is the Rohan starter deck. So I'm going to be going through that, talking about what I think about it and how they put them together and what you get inside it. So yeah, another small video coming your way very soon. Make sure to check out the community section of the channel, because you'll find a announcement of who the winner is for Saruman and Grima miniatures that have been picked today. I will endeavour to get those out to people, well, the person, as soon as possible. If you thank you for taking part and getting me over 1,000 subscribers, really. That's the awesome thing that you've all done for me, which is always nice to see. And as I said in previous videos, it's always nice to just be able to chat to a bunch of like-minded folk about interesting things that I enjoy, namely Lord of the Rings, really. So yeah, Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and do all of that good stuff. And yeah, I'll be back next week for another video. Thank you very much, and bye for now. Bye.